Welcome back. This is Kathy Wilson again, and this series of videos that you're watching is to help a person decide whether a new relationship or fairly new relationship that they are in could possibly be a scammer. And so this video I want to talk about how scammers use some of their tactics, we'll say, to create the scam, essentially. And so I'm telling you about these things so that you can look back over the first moments of this relationship, first months, whatever the time frame is, and evaluate for yourself whether any of these factors could have been happening and whether these type of things are an indicator that this could very well be a scammer that you're involved with. And so essentially, scammers use a combination of information that they can find out about you that's out on the internet, and they use psychological tactics, and there are some very well-developed tactics that they use. And there's actually many skills that they foster in themselves and train each other in to be able to accomplish this awful work that they do. And they also sometimes utilize circumstances that are happening, such as the pandemic. And I'll speak more about that here in a moment. But in developing a relationship, the things that we're supposed to be doing is getting to know this person and growing trust between us and eventually caring about each other. And we are launched in this relationship from that point, right? Though scammers are often using things that we would normally do. It's just that a normal thing could also be a scam. So it's very difficult sometimes to discern that this is what's happening. And so, for example, the first thing the scammer wants to do is gain your trust and start that process, right? And some of the ways that the person may be gaining your trust would be to show some similarity with you. They would want to show some ways of being likable, as an example. And the more similar a person seems to us, the more we begin to like them. They're like us. And so that is subtle ways that relationships begin to grow between two people. And so an example of how they may do that, one of my favorite examples to use is the car that you drive. So for instance, anyone can do some simple background checks on services on the internet. They're inexpensive. You can find out a fair amount of people on one of these background checks, and that includes the likely car that the person drives, or at least a car that they used to drive. And so what scammers might do, for instance, is notice, oh, this person drives a Chevrolet, as an example. And so casually in early conversations with this person, they might mention taking their car, also a Chevrolet, right, to the dealership for service, and they're frustrated, or whatever thing, whatever story they're telling about that, the fact that they also drive a Chevrolet, and they might mention the Model 2, then that might spark in you to say, oh, I have a Chevrolet too. Or I have an Equinox too, as an example. And then there's a subtle change at that moment where that person is very similar to you, just with that simple fact, right? It's underneath everything, that's a similarity, and that causes the way you like this person, it causes that affinity to grow. So again, this is subtle, but many instances similar to this. After a scammer uses a few of those, then that may be so subtle for you that you just like this person. You see them as being very similar to you. And it isn't just a car, right? I'm using that as an example, but frequently they'll use our values. So if by your social media profile or early conversations with you, some of your values become apparent to this person you're talking to, they may talk about those values in a little bit different way, but it feels like a similarity. Similarity leads to likability. So the more similar this person seems to you, the more you're going to like them, and then we're off towards trust and care. So being watchful about how that may have happened early on in your conversations with this person is an important thing to evaluate for yourself. This also doesn't mean that you're betraying the relationship to take a look at this. Whether you've come up with this idea on your own that this could be a scammer and you're afraid to know that, or if a family member or a friend has said this to you, that doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean you're betraying the person by looking closer at that. That simply means that you're taking care of yourself too, right? You may be caring for this person and the care is growing, but it's also important to care about yourself as well. And putting this to bed or acting on it if it is a scammer, either way, that serves you best. And so I would encourage you to go through that process and do that. Circumstances. I knew there was another piece that I wanted to go into there. So sometimes scammers will use circumstances. As an example, I said the pandemic earlier. The pandemic created a fair amount of isolation for many of us for a time. And that isolation for many people increased their sense of loneliness, or they began to feel more lonely. And that is a circumstance that makes you vulnerable to anyone showing some care. For instance, having regular conversations with this person may have soothed some loneliness for you. And so taking a look at whether that could have been used in your situation is important. Another example of that would be, for instance, if you are widowed or a widower and that is on your social media profile, like your Facebook profile, if that's out there, then the scammer may approach you as also being a widower or widowed. And with that, there's an immediate similarity, an immediate place where you have something in common that could help that trust to grow between you. So I'm bringing these out to give you some additional pieces to consider, to look at, to decide for yourself, could this be a scammer or not? And take that whatever direction you need to care for yourself. Thanks for listening.